In this video, we're going to read closely the poem, the epic poem, the Odyssey of Homer, or at least an excerpt from it. So we've already listened to it in class. We've answered some questions on it, but now let's do a real close reading of it. Okay, so there's two parts to this video. One, I want to go through the close reading, and two, I want to go through some of the tools in Google Docs that will help you be able to do close reading on a computer as opposed to doing the close reading on a textbook that you own for yourself. Okay, because we can't obviously highlight and write in the margins of our textbooks. So we can highlight and write in the margins during a close reading. Okay, first of all, I just wanted to go over real quick. If you can't see real well, you can always change the zoom of a Google Doc by going up here to this 100%, and we can zoom in as far as we want. We can obviously change the text size as well if it's difficult to see or read. But let's go ahead and get into it. The first time I'm going to read through, I'm just going to be looking for maybe some words that I don't recognize, or maybe I'm not sure about the meaning. So he was washed from the raft, and deep he sank into the roaring mouth of the storm-tossed sea. Oh, and this should be his. So let's go ahead and make some corrections while we go to his elegant robes. Okay, maybe that word elegant I'm not familiar with. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it to remind myself that I need to check what that means. So I'm going to go up here to text color. So this is the other part where I'm showing you the tools. And I'm just going to highlight it a real light yellow. Just to remind myself I need to go back. Elegant robes were soaked and heavy, dragging him down like clawing fists. With a mighty effort, he forced himself upward and his head emerged. Okay, maybe I'm not sure about that word emerged. So again, I just want to highlight it. So you should be doing all of these same things on your document. As I go through and do them on mine, you're going to be going through and doing them on your document as well. Okay, spitting water from his throat, he clutched at his raft. Brave man. Again and again he tried until he clambered. Oh, there's another one, clambered. On highlight in yellow. Again, if you need to pause or rewind at any point in the video, don't hesitate. Onto it and lay, panting from his efforts. Panting. Okay, maybe I'm not sure about that word either. Just going through examples. I want you, even if you know what these words are, I still want you to highlight them, go through this with me. The storm continued, tossing his raft like a leaf until a sea goddess saw him. Her heart wept for him. She took the shape of a gull and settled on his raft. Maybe I don't know what a gull is. So I'm going to highlight that. Onto his raft, saying, "Unhappy Odysseus, why does the sea god punish you like this? Take off your heavy robes. See that island yonder?" Wait, yonder? What does that mean? "When you reach its shores, you will be safe from the sea god's wrath." Now, we should know what wrath is because it was a vocabulary word that we've had in the past, but let's go ahead and just double check. Maybe we forgot. Okay. Again, notice I'm not worrying about looking these words up right this second. I'm just going through reading and just identifying some of the words that maybe are unfamiliar to me. This should be always your first step when you're doing a close reading. So when should you use close reading? Close reading should be done on any text that you know you're going to be tested on, for one, or that you want a better understanding of. Now, do I do close reading when I'm reading before I go to bed at night? No, I don't do close reading at that time. Do I expect you to do close reading when you're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid? No, I don't expect you to do close reading when you're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Should you do close reading of a newspaper article that interests you? Probably should do it if it really interests you. Now, if you're just reading it for fun, then maybe not. But if it's maybe an article about a political issue that you're interested in, yeah, you might do some close reading of that. Many people, and maybe your parents do this as well, do close readings of the Bible. I know I have many family members who, if I look at in their Bibles, there is highlighting, there is questions written oh man, I lost my wording. In the spaces, I forget the word for that, but margins. There it is, in the margins of the text. So you may have seen this as well. So there are times when you don't need to do close readings, like when you're doing, reading an email from a friend or a text from a friend. Obviously, you're not doing a close reading on that. But anytime you have to have a deep understanding of this text to answer questions about the text, or if it's just a topic that interests you and you really want to understand it well for yourself, those are times when you need to do close readings. So when we have our benchmark, any of the texts in the benchmark should be a close read, something that you're reading multiple times and just going through, taking it slowly and thinking through each line of text. Okay, let's continue. Then she swept away on her gull-soft wings, but Odysseus did not know what to think. This could be a trap, he thought. The sea god would like to drown me as I swim. And while he wondered what to do, wave after towering wave swept over his raft. At last, the raft broke up and Odysseus was forced to cling to one floating beam. He stripped off his storm-soaked robes and pushed off into the raging sea. The sea god roared with laughter. Swim away, little man, for I will cause you greater troubles before you reach your home. Now Odysseus was always a favorite of the goddess Athena. She saw his difficulties, and she raised one reed-slim hand. The winds and waves dropped away at once, and the sea became calm. Odysseus swam for 2 days and 2 nights, until at last he sighted land. But then his heart sank. For as he looked, he could see that there was no place for him to land. Some cliffs rose straight out of the sea, and the waves dashed hard against them. At last he came to a river. Odysseus could taste the fresh water of the river, and he prayed to the river god for help. Save me, O river king, for I am flying, from the sea god's anger. And the river god heard him and welcomed him. He made the river smooth, and so Odysseus was able to at last set his foot upon the land. So I didn't see any words that I didn't really understand, or maybe were words I hadn't seen before in the second half of the text, and that's fine too. That can happen. Okay, so let's go over how do we figure out what these words mean. Well, in Google Docs, it's nice and easy because, again, I can just highlight that. And if I go to my tools, I can define that word. So elegant, pleasingly graceful, and stylish in appearance. So he had some nice robes, some good-looking robes, stylish robes. Okay. What about emerged? I'll do the same thing. Highlight it, tools, define it. Move out or away from something and come into view. So he moved, his head came out from under the water, and you could see his head out from under the water then. Okay. About clambered, do the same thing. Climb, move, or get in or out of something in an awkward and laborious way. So again and again he tried until he clambered onto it. So he was trying to climb onto this raft, but it was awkward. It was hard to get on it. If you've ever tried to get onto a raft in your pool, maybe sometimes it didn't look so smooth. You kind of fell. That happens to me sometimes. You'll try to get on and you fall off the other side the first time. So that's what clambered looks like. Okay, panting, same thing. Breathing with short, quick breaths. Okay, maybe some of you are already familiar with that. You can think of your dogs as panting when they've been running. Okay, what's a gull though? Highlight it, tools, define. A long-winged, web-footed seabird. Okay, so it's a bird. Let's get some pictures of what that looks like. Okay, so yeah, a seabird. I've seen those before. Okay, and that makes sense because they're at sea. What about yonder? Go to my tools again, define it. At some distance in the direction indicated. Okay, so see that island over there, basically, far away? Okay, what about wrath? Tools, define. Extreme anger. Okay, so the sea god is extremely mad at him. Okay, so we've we figured out what these different words were that we didn't understand. Now let's go through and do another reading and I'm just going to kind of summarize each little section or paragraph. Now sometimes when you get in here and you have shorter paragraphs, I may combine these two when I summarize them. So basically I'm going to read it and then I'm going to just put it in my own words. He was washed from the raft, and deep he sank into the roaring mouth of the storm-tossed sea. His elegant robes were soaked and heavy, dragging him down like clawing fists. With a mighty effort, he forced himself upward, and his head emerged from the sea. Spitting water from his throat, he clutched at his raft. Brave man. Again and again he tried until he clambered on it and lay panting with his efforts. So I'm just going to just highlight that last part there. And I'm not going to use the tools to highlight. I'm just highlighting it with the mouse. And I'm just going to make a comment because I'm going to summarize this whole section. Okay. So what's going on in that paragraph? Odysseus, or excuse me, Homer. No, Odysseus, yeah. Is being knocked from his raft in a storm at sea, we'll say. So real quick, just one sentence that summarizes what's going on here. Okay, so now whenever I click on, you'll notice when I click on that part that I highlighted, it brings forward that comment that I made about this paragraph. Okay, let's look at the next paragraph. The storm continued, tossing his raft like a leaf until a sea goddess saw him. Her heart wept for him. She took the shape of a gull and settled on his raft, saying, "Unhappy Odysseus, why does the sea god punish you like this? Take off your heavy robes. See that island yonder? When you reach its shore, you will be safe from the sea god's wrath." So at the end of the paragraph, I'm going to add a comment now. So you need to be adding these same comments to yours. Add a comment. And what happens here? A sea goddess sees Odysseus and feels sorry for him. He tells him that if he swims to an island, he will be safe. I'm just kind of putting it in my own words. Okay, then she swept away on her gold-soft wings, but Odysseus did not know what to think. This could be a trap, he thought. The sea god would like to drown me as I swim. And while he wondered what to do, wave after towering wave swept over his raft, excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this and then make a comment. So in this paragraph, Odysseus thinks that swimming to the island might be a trap to lure him off his raft. So he's not sure if he trusts this sea goddess that says, hey, take off your robes, jump in the water and swim over to that island. You'll be fine. He's thinking, wait, get off my raft? This sounds like it could be a trap. But while he's thinking about this, he's getting crushed by waves. So I'm actually going to add that. Edit it. While he is thinking, he is getting battered by waves. So again, you may want to pause this video in order to get all these notes in. Okay. At last the raft broke up and Odysseus was forced to cling to one floating beam. He stripped off his storm-soaked robes and pushed off into the raging sea. So in this paragraph, now we have Odysseus. I'll make a comment. He finally decides, well, let's change that. His raft is destroyed, so he decides to swim for it. And again, if I click on that, it brings that comment forward. Click on this, brings that comment forward. Click on wrath, brings that comment forward. So I know, okay, what did I say about this paragraph? Oh yeah, this one. His raft is destroyed, so he decides to swim for it. Okay, continuing. The sea god roared with laughter. Swim away, little man, for I cause you greater trouble. I will cause you greater troubles before you reach your home. Now Odysseus was always a favorite of the goddess Athena. She saw his difficulty and raised one reed slim hand. The winds and waves dropped away at once, and the sea became calm. Odysseus swam for 2 days and 2 nights until at last he sighted land. But then his heart sank, for as he looked, he could see that there was no place for him to land. Some cliffs rose straight out of the sea, and the waves dashed hard against them. So I'm going to just combine these two. And I'm just going to make a comment on these two combined. So I highlight, make a comment. And again, you need to be making these same comments. Okay, it's just practice. We're going through it nice and slow. Eventually, what will happen is you'll be going through these and doing your own close readings. So I won't be giving you the comments. You'll be making your own comments. You'll be highlighting your own words and finding the definitions of them. Okay. But let's go ahead and continue. So the sea god is laughing at Odysseus, saying, oh, really, you're going to swim away from me? Swim, little man, he says. The sea god is laughing at Odysseus when he... Oh, too many S's in there. When he finally reaches the island, there is no beach to swim onto. So he finally gets to this island, and boom, there's all these rocks. He can't, if he tried to swim up, he would get thrown against them. So he's in trouble again. At last he came to a river. Odysseus could taste the fresh water of the river, and he prayed to the river god for help. Save me, O river king, for I am flying from the sea god's anger. And the river god heard him and welcomed him. He made the river smooth, and so Odysseus was able at last to set his foot upon the land. So I'm going to combine these two shorter paragraphs as well. What happens in these two paragraphs? He asks for help from let's start. He finds a river, so he's thinking, okay, I can swim, I can get onto this island at a safe place through the river. So he finds a river and asks the river god for help. The river god makes and I'll scroll this down so you can see that, makes the water calm, so Odysseus can easily swim to land. Okay, so I've kind of summarized each one of these paragraphs in my own words. Okay. Now, on a Google Doc, I may want to also number these. So you'll see, because you might want to be used to reading from top to bottom, but this isn't the first thing that happens in the story. So for a Google Doc, if I want to make sure these are in order. So I click on efforts. This is my summary of the first paragraph. It pops forward. I'm just going to edit this real quick and add a number 1 in front. So that way when I'm going back looking at my notes, I can say, okay, this is the first thing that happens. Wrath. This is the second thing that happens. So again, you need to be making these edits as well. Raft. This is the third thing that happens. Okay. Sea. This is the fourth thing that happens. Them. This is the fifth thing that happens. So now we're looking at sequence of events. We're just putting everything in order. And finally, this is the last thing that happens. This is the sixth thing. Okay, so now I can look through. Odysseus is being knocked from his raft in a sea storm. A sea goddess sees Odysseus and feels sorry for him. She tells him that if he swims to an island, he will be safe. Odysseus thinks that swimming to the island might be a trap to lure him off his raft. While he is thinking, he is getting battered by waves. His raft is destroyed, so he decides to swim for it. The sea god is laughing at Odysseus. When he finally reaches the island, there is no beach to swim onto. And then finally, he finds a river and asks the river god for help. The river god makes the water calm, so Odysseus can easily swim to land. So there's kind of my summary now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. We're not finished with this close reading, but we'll continue the close reading in another video. Okay, so you can see a lot goes into a close reading. Okay, now I am obviously slowing this down a lot too so I can explain each step, but close reading takes time. It takes time to go through each section and really look at what the author is saying, and so I can fully understand what's going on. Thanks for watching. Make sure you have all the same highlights and all the same notes posted that I do as well. Thank you.